I'm Trek with 2Ks. Ah, all right. Excuse me. This cough will not leave me alone right now. Um, so yeah, my name is Trek with 2Ks. This is Trek with 2Ks live. And if you don't know, the basic idea is I go through Twitter, see what things scratch my brain, and I talk about it here. And I show you the tweets. Sometime, well, actually, no, I don't even play the videos anymore. If it's stuff that has a video clip to it, I literally just go on the hey, this is what it is. If you want to go see it, you can find it too on Twitter. But nonetheless, it is another Monday. Couple of things came out that kind of scratched my brain. I swear there's something going on with how Grok is allowing you to bookmark stuff now. I don't know if I'm bugging, but I think something's going on with that. But nonetheless, it's still working for what it do right now. You know, like I've said on X number of other things. Like this is all kind of an experiment, and I'm trying to play around with the algos, and we see how it work. I've done a couple of little things here and there to see, is it making a difference? Is it not? I'm doing this whole no face thing now, making it a faceless channel, or in particular for my thing and what I'm doing. And even got the blue check, which I don't know how to call that one, if I could say that's been an improvement or not. Hold on one second. Jesus, this cough will just not leave me alone. Um, and yeah, and then you see, I've been playing around with the thumbnails a little bit, been playing around with GIFs and the intros and the outro stuff. And I gotta make a new intro and outro kind of thing and like distinguish those and all of that funness. But one man show. It is what it is right now. I got some things that kind of scratched my brain as I saw them. Granted, I didn't see everything on Twitter, but for when I was looking at it, it's like, oh wow, let's talk about it, And granted, I actually like post and comment on more things than I actually bookmark. So if you've ever like followed the account and stuff, you'll see I'll bookmark, well, I will post more than I actually bookmark, or I will like write on certain things. Some things I'll like, do my little comment on. And then some things I will comment on and I will reshare. And sometimes it just be real shenanigans. Like I seen a post earlier today from the movie Aliens. Someone made like the alien symbiote thing that like pops out your chest. And there's this one lady's account where she goes through like things that she finds online that are like, you can buy this. And I swear to goodness, the way it originally looked, it looked like a strap. And I was just like, yo, the internet ain't shit. Like, who thought of this? And then I watched the actual clip and she showed the video and they have an image of like a person wearing it on their chest, popping out of their shirt. I said, oh man, I'm just not saved. I'm just not saved. The internet is a hilarious, dangerous, and sometimes, if not X amount of the times, an unforgiving place. But nonetheless, y'all. So we got a couple of things. if you're looking at this, what is it? The thumbnail, well, the caption, the title for this, there's a couple of different things going on that kind of caught my brain. So as we see, we had the crazy dip that happened in traditional finance markets last week, and then we also had the crypto side of what happened last week. And X amount of folks are contributing it to a post that Trump did on his platform, while other folks are like, well, nah, it's not really that. But like, it makes the most sense for the people who is like, oh, well, it was based on Trump's tweet because, it also affected the regular market. And this is like, I don't know if I agree on that, because we've seen it happen before where there have been dips that have happened in crypto, and some news story thing will happen, and then people be like, oh, it was that thing right there, blah 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 blah. And it's just like, but is that really it? Like, and then later on it comes out, it's like, oh no, this was going on. In this particular case, though, what we do know is somebody or some persons definitely were were moving on insider trading news because of the shorts that were being put in before the Trump announcement happened. And then once those went through, they was making a windfall. I heard like one number was like 90 million. They somebody walked away with, or an account was able to walk away with. It is what it is, I guess, to say, but at the same time, it's just like this is what we got to. This is what the space is maturing to, that you now have this level of influence within, or what like from the the political sector, and as well as just like the like trade fight that now is playing over into this part of it. I don't know, but nonetheless, that's like one of the titles. So like Robinhood and Coinbase, and I actually took this from Tej. Tej made the comment first because I really didn't pay attention to any of it. All I know is I woke up on Saturday, or it was like either late Friday, and I seen some tweets saying some things about like markets and prices, but I didn't really pay attention to it. And then happened to see a post from Tej, and he was like, "Yeah, Robinhood and Coinbase stopped block buys during the dip." And I'm just saying, we already seen that movie, because Robinhood is known to do that. Coinbase is also known to do that. So nothing new on that. Other story that caught me too is Bitcoin Jesus, aka Roger Ver, apparently made a settlement with the SEC, or whoever he was getting caught up with, whether it be the DOJ or the SEC. But he's paying a couple million, like double-digit million, to the to the government. I'm gonna say it that way. And then I seen something else about Democrats looking to ban DeFi. And in my mind, I don't think it's just a Democrat thing. I think it's just the nature of the beast as far as the political entities go, as it relates to like, how do we enforce this thing of capital controls within the financial system, right? At the end of the day, we know that DeFi, like true DeFi in terms of, excuse me, protocols that allow people to do their own type of financialization as far as being able to trade and interact with other interested parties, we know the technology works. We've experienced, those of us who've been here for a minute and played around in some things, we've already experienced it. But here you have it, and I'll get into this post in a minute. It's looking like there's going to be a push, and I can see it. Like I can definitely see it, just because of where we started and where we are now. In my mind, it's only the logical thing that we would end up in this scenario. Other thing of note is what was the other thing? What was the other thing? The other title that I had was that a Bitcoiner wins the Nobel Peace Prize. So initially, when I saw the post, I was like, all right, cool. Give it a heart. Okay, reshare it. Cool. Lo and behold, I think like a couple of days later, I end up wait, no, that wasn't it. Yeah, a couple of days later, I end up seeing something else about the lady Corina Machado. I believe she's Venezuelan, and it's throwing some other, it's throwing some shade about like what she's been doing the last couple of decades in her home country, and just like her public stance on some things. And I said, "Oh, damn. I thought we had a good one." But yeah, but all right, sorry about that. All right, so let's jump into the screen share. There we go. Boop boop, come on. All right, bet. So all right. So I seen this post over here from Adam Beck, and he's like, "Damn, it's a huge first EU country. It's what? It's huge. First EU country to put BTC in sovereign wealth fund. 1%, but price will fix that." So apparently, Luxembourg claims bragging rights as the first Eurozone nation to invest in BTC. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and who did I forget who I was talking to about this, and it was just like in my mind, it's like, and nowhere in the white paper was it like, hey, governments need to have this in their reserves, and governments need to do blah. No, it was literally, hey, like, we're I'm making this technology available to the public so that the everyday average Joe can have more sovereignty over their financial capital via this medium of money. And obviously, we have come a very, very long way since then, where we have the trading side of things, we have the mining side of things, we have the speculative side of things, we have the government regulatory side of things, we have the nation state side of things. We now have TradeFi doing what it's doing to like get its involvement within the space. And we get now to this point of, okay, governments and countries that have nothing to do with crypto are like, all right, we're going to put that onto our books. There's that company, is that Japan, the real estate company, that's what they're doing. Like, they bought a fair amount, and now they just having it sit there on the books. And it's just like, I get that it's a part of the growing pains, and I get that it also works towards this thing that we've been, fighting for, of mass adoption. But at the same time, it still kind of gets me on the end of, what do you think is going to happen when governments get involved? They're going to do it and work it to their advantage, and where it's like, it's not going to be about the individual financial sovereignty or economic sovereignty anymore. It's going to be about what it seems as though X amount of this space is working towards: being able to track your financial activity. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just, I really be lost on it nowadays. As y'all can tell if you've been listening for a bit on this, I just, yeah. So like, it's like one of those like, okay, like, I guess we can clap to it because it means a bigger thing towards the overall of adoption. But it's one of those like, how is this going to actually play out though? What is this going to look like down the road, right? Next joint, and oh, this was the one. Okay, so I'm gonna go through reading some of this actually. So all right, the Democrats just wrote the playbook on to ban DeFi in America. They want to call every DeFi front end a broker and force anyone who builds or runs a website that connects to smart contracts to collect KYC data and fill reports like a bank. Like, again, we know the technology works and it doesn't need any of the other extra stuff. I literally had this conversation with like a sophomore at Howard University at the 8th Black Blockchain Summit. I was telling him like the thing that really kind of kills it when you look at, if you were here in the earlier, phase of things, as I be saying, I'm in this unk status now with the stuff. And it's just like, we know the technology works. The stuff that is being added in now has nothing to do with the tech stack of it. It is literally about control. It is literally about the governing bodies and the folks who can find ways to make more limits. Like, that's just them adding the stuff in. You don't need KYC in order to make the transaction happen. The system works to where it has, and I'm not going to say trustless because I understand a lot more on the technology part of it now. Like, there's a level of trust involved within this network. You don't write the code, so you have to trust that the people who wrote the code are doing what they're doing what they're supposed to do to make it work without any extra bias shit to it. Right? You didn't do the website, so you need to hope that the person who put the website together isn't doing other things to collect information on you. They're just allowing you to do the basic function of what needs to be done for the DeFi applications to work without any extra stuff. So such as, hey, what's your name, where you live, what is your age, what's your gender? None of that stuff is needed. None of that is needed. But here's where we are. So as I continue, they know it's impossible for open source code to comply, and that's the point. You can't regulate something you redefined it. You can't regulate something, redefined it until it dies, which is exactly what is going on in the DeFi space. And the other part of, we also then have companies that are marketing as DeFi, but they're really just centralized exchanges. 100% centralized exchanges, but their marketing is DeFi because DeFi was a wave. In my mind, I believe we will start to see that transition, and it will be through this process. But again, I don't think it's just a Democrat thing. I blame both parties on this. And then watch, you're going to see how the big name players in the space are going to turn on the DeFi, like the true DeFi side of the space. That's going to be the funky part, is watching the Krakens, the Coinbases, and then when you see it happen with the exchanges, then you get into it going through the coins and the tokens themselves, like those players. And then the other part that is going to be the creme de la creme, cherry on top. Give it like 5 years max. Like when it really sets in, like, if I don't know what the legislation bill and all of that is going to be called, but like, let's say it comes out next year, give it 3 to 5 years max. And then the industry will turn around and give you a sanitized version of that original DeFi protocol and be like, oh, it can only work on our platform, or it can only work if you do it between this network and this network, versus if you was here in the 17, 20 to 15 period, like you knew that back then the things worked. There was nothing about, oh, well, it has to be through such and such exchange. Oh, well, it has to be only on this particular network, aka blockchain. Like, oh, it can only be proof of stake blockchains, or oh, you can only nah, man. Like that's the part that is like it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. Anywho, so they know it is impossible for open source to comply, and that's the point. When you can't regulate something, you redefine it until it dies. This isn't about consumer protection, it's about control of yield. DeFi lets users earn what the banks used to take and stabilize that pay and stable coins that pay interest expose the rot inside the system. So the plan is simple. Label DeFi as unlicensed broker networks, that whole redefinition thing, force every front end to geofence the United States. That's going to be a thing. Watch liquidity leave and call it progress, which again, like if you can't exit to take your gain, what do you think is going to happen? Because X amount of the space is just trying to make gains, right? It's not about the what, how am I saying this? The majority or the majority mindset in today's era of crypto isn't about economic sovereignty or freedom. So there are folks who are only using these actual DeFi platforms because it works towards the goal of getting the gain. But once those routes are like cordoned off or like go into non-existence, guess what? They come back to the other way of the more within the walled garden platforms, and they follow the traditional, TradeFi stuff because all right, well, excuse me, they don't want to do the work that is required to like do some of the DeFi stuff that would still be existing out there. And at the same time, it's like, well, nah, I can't. It's like I'm gonna make all the gains I can make while the gate's open, but once the gate closed, okay, I'm gonna go over to that side because the bigger point is how do I get the capital, the gains out, and then be able to either invest it into other things or put it into other real world assets. That's the rub. Most of the excuse me. Most of these folks don't care about the actual economic sovereignty. They just want the bag. So yeah, like arguably, we definitely have more grifters in the space now. You know, so I was saying, force every front end to geofence the United States. Watch liquidity leave and call it progress. Treasury calls it illicit finance, but this just it's but this just the dollar fighting for its monopoly. Every protocol that says permissionless becomes an enemy of the state. The future of finance is being outlawed by people who don't understand the code that runs it. They can't stop the math, so they'll try to stop you from touching it, which literally is how it always seems to go. Like if you look at anything for how it initially develops on a technology side, and not just like digital technology, but like technology in general, there's the open and free like usage part of it in the beginning, and then eventually you start having the patents, the laws that like limit and then streamline and then generalize the access that you have to that thing, like the source thing. So yeah, we have a small window left. While Trump is in power, the industry still breathes. If Democrats take control, next cycle crypto will suffer. Here's where I don't agree with this person. I don't think Trump is a friend of the space. I don't. Um, for somebody who's selling it that way, I don't think you're really paying attention to what Trump's doing or the effect that he's having on the space. Now, granted, we can, oh yeah, well, he did the Genius Act, and then he also is like doing his own like crypto project, and that doesn't mean he's a friend of the space. That just means he's being a grifter like X amount of the other folks who are just trying to get the bag. And he's getting the bag because of the position he's in. But that's just me. I might be, the only one seeing it that way. I don't know what to say. If you agree with me, cool. If not, it is what it is. And so, yeah, here's this guy, Roger Ver, aka Bitcoin Jesus. It comes out last week that he's not gonna. Well, how do I say this? So basically, they labeled what he did as tax fraud, even though arguably, he might have been paying in other things. But it's like, oh well, you didn't pay this amount. That's more of the crux of it. You didn't pay this amount, sir. We want the bag. We want part of the bag, I guess to say, right? And so that's just where it is. And I mean, can you be mad about it? Yes, no. Arguably, that's just what governments do. That's just them being them. They always want to be in your pockets. I mean, consider I don't even know how much money the man has or made. And from what I've heard, he's not like a stupid guy neither. Now, granted, it could be argued about his personality, but it isn't like he quote doesn't have it, which isn't a justifiable reason to be like, yeah, he should pay that nearly 50 million. Because obviously it probably could have been higher, but they're like, all right, well, we'll take this amount. That's okay. And you don't have to go into jail, which I'm just throwing this out there. If you look at X number of the most notable personalities in this space, so far, it's like a 3 for 3 on folks not going to jail. No, that's a lie because Charlie went to jail. Arthur was on house arrest for like how long? And what's crazy is I don't even think Ver lives in the States. I think he's still out in Japan or something. So it's just like, how that gonna work? But I ain't looking to the thing too deep. But it is one of those things of like, all right, so you're paying the funds to hopefully not go to jail. So DOJ, that's who it was. I guess that's a good thing that you don't. Well, you stay out of jail. Which is also interesting in that, like, if you look at the last like 5 years, like, what have we really heard out of the BSV camp? Like, really nothing. You know what? Let me not say nothing because I don't pay attention to that camp enough to be like, oh, nothing. There might have been some stuff going on that they were talking about, within and amongst themselves. They'd be like, oh yeah, this is going on. I don't even know what the price looks like for that right now. I just stopped paying attention. I don't think I ever really paid attention. I just know who Roger Ver is, and I know he was definitely a major personality. And arguably, he was more of a social influence, I want to say before COVID. So he had a good run from probably like 15 to 18, 19. He had a good run where like friggin' you couldn't turn around or like throw a rock and hit a crypto ATM and not hear this man something about him. He like the interviews were going wild during was that 2017 period into 18, but like now, especially like post C19, like you ain't really see or hear nothing about him. And then all of a sudden one day it popped up like DOJ's like, yeah, Roger Ver is a fraudster and he did tax fraud and we need to get him. And it's just like, wow. And this popped up during the Biden administration. And now look at where we are. All right, just give us like net 50 million, bro, and like, go about your business. I guess. I guess. I don't know, man. It's interesting to see how this is playing out with X number of the notable personalities in the space. You know who also, now that I just thought about it, who you don't hear nothing about right now from Litecoin? Charles Lee or Charlie Lee. You don't hear nothing about him nowadays. But I seen something the other day that popped up about Litecoin. I forgot what it was. Um, I think he posted something or he said something in an interview or whatever, but I ain't really pay attention to it. But yeah, man, like it is interesting to see how this is playing out. Arguably, Charlie Lee, he dodged a whole bullet because he just, all right, bet. Like, I'm gonna just, liquidate my position. I'm gonna step away from the company. I'm not doing this, this, and this. And then he just back in the corner. Because if you look at all of the head people of any of the like major tokens or projects, like they've all had a little bit of dragging from the administration. And when was the last time you heard anything about Litecoin? And I'm not talking about like as far as the token, like the coin and price and all that, but I mean in regards to like Charlie Lee saying anything on what's going on with the space or the regulatory part of it or how he sees the technology developing. I don't know. I haven't seen anything, but then again, I wasn't necessarily looking. But there's definitely some people that I know and follow who are definite like Litecoin folks, and I don't know. I just haven't heard anything. Yeah, that's just observation. I could be wrong. The man might be doing some great, wonderful things in the background. All right, so let's get into this one. So, all right, I don't know who Jeff Park is, and he says for the first time in history, the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to a Bitcoiner. Congratulations to Maria Corona Machado. Oh, I did her name wrong. I wrote Karina Machado. All right, whatever. Also, and also to HRF, who continues to explain to the world what is so obvious to so many. Point is human rights. Now, it is again when I initially seen this, I was like, "Ah, man, that's cool, that's great, that's dope." I gave it the little heart, like, okay. Like back when I did it, it was still like 1,000 or something, though, right? Hold on. But here it is, nearly 3K later. So this post, because again, I initially tagged it, bookmarked it. What was that, like Saturday or Friday? It might have been Thursday. What day was this? The 10th? Day was the 10th. I don't even know. Okay, so that was Friday. So initially, it was like, all right, cool. I'll talk about this. This is a good thing. And then I think it was like Saturday, or it might have been yesterday, that I seen something that was like, oh, she's um a Zionist supporter or something. Ooh, hold on. Pardon me. And I was just like, what? What's going on with this? And I didn't really look at it. And then today when I was going through the stuff again, I was seeing if there's anything else that kind of, caught the brain, caught the eye, scratched the brain. And I said, let me look into the comments on this post. I'm not even gonna go into it like that, but if you are curious, you know how the internet is. People will bring receipts, especially in how this crypto space be, when you be talking one way and then you move another way. Like somebody somewhere collected the receipts. You better believe. So it basically boils down to she's Venezuelan, but like she was asking for Israel to help overturn the leadership as far as Maduro. And I think this might have been either when what you call it was in before Maduro, but she was also asking for the US government to be getting involved. And it was just like, it made me think of something. I think it was yesterday. My man CJ the smart guy, he's a CPA, full disclosure, he's my CPA. He took a picture of a gut truck, aka a lunch truck, and it was called Crypto Burgers. So he sees it and he's like, "Oh, all right, cool, man. Like, let me support. Let me grab a burger." So he's like, "Hey, man, like, like, do you accept Bitcoin for the burger?" And he's like, "Nah." He's like, "Well, no, okay. Do you accept any crypto for the burger?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Oh, well, all right. Well, do you like have any, like, do you yourself actually have crypto?" He's like, "Nah, man. I'm just riding the wave." My response back to that post was, grifters come in all shapes, sizes, and businesses. And that's what this post reminded me of when I looked at it today and I actually looked in the comments of it. When people were breaking down, like, "Yo, here's what she said back in 1993. Here's a picture of her with Bush 1, or I think it was Bush 2. Here's her talking to blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Well, damn it." I mean, at the end of the day, we have said, or at least I've said for the longest, "Yo, I can't tell you how to do your crypto thing." And just because somebody say they in crypto, or they pro crypto, it don't mean you're gonna agree with everything that they say in other aspects. Case in point, this whole thing of like, we should have other countries come in to overthrow my um legal sitting president in my country. Like, I don't know. That just kind of like had me like, wow, like, just because someone says they're pro Bitcoin, it doesn't mean that you're gonna agree with everything that they say. And then the other part, I'm gonna jump back on Cynthia Loomis' ass. Like, I've been saying this for how long, right? I am not a believer in how Cynthia Loomis, the senator from Wyoming, promotes Bitcoin, because she puts this nationalist spin into it that I'm not a fan of. It's not about nation states, it's not about countries, it's not about states, it's not about, us over them. Hey, the technology works for everyone, right? And it ties into this thing of like, you can't tell people how to do Bitcoin, even though, right, the white paper says what the white paper says. There's nothing that how am I saying this? There's nothing that like forces people to hold the original ideas or values that are proposed in the Bitcoin white paper. And so anyone can come in at any point and be like, "Well, yeah, I'm just gonna go buy some Bitcoin through an ATM, through a Bitcoin machine ATM, or I'm gonna, only do Coinbase, or I'm gonna do it through like Sovereign or whatever other like non, CXE kind of way to do it, like a true DeFi way to do it." Like, you have all of these type of people in the mix and in the Bitcoin community, which goes to my point about how the folks who are in this space now are a different mindset. Like, the majority of the folks who are in this space now are of a different mindset. This lady highlights the example of, you can be pro-Zionist, you can be, hey, anti-Maduro, and then still be like, yeah, but I believe in the power of Bitcoin. Yeah, like that part. That like the the reality of how these two things can exist is I don't want to say humbling. Humbling isn't the appropriate word or phrasing of what the recognition of these type of people like bring to like my acknowledgement of or how I look at this space. But I do note Bitcoiners come in all shapes and sizes and colors and businesses, political affiliations, ideals and concepts. They come in all of it. And so, yes, technically, a Bitcoiner got the Nobel Peace Prize. But I also think it's ironic that for the things that she was asking that happened in Venezuela, it's like, wait, this lady was looking for war and death. How'd she get the Nobel Peace Prize? Like, what is she? And granted, I didn't look into what was the category that she won in. I didn't look into that. Matter of fact, let's do that right now. How about that? How about that? Let's look at why did what is it? Maria Karina Machado wins. Let's see if it gives me the category that she won in, because I honestly don't know what she won it for. Tarlis promoting Democrat. Oh, so apparently it says that she promoted democratic rights. That's the short of it. That's wild. Okay, so all right, quick Brave search, and it says that she has basically tirelessly worked to promote democratic rights and has struggled to achieve a peaceful transition for democracy in Venezuela, which is ironic because I feel like, wait, didn't Maduro get voted in by the public? And then if you wanted a peaceful transition, why would you ask other countries to come in and invade your country? Like that, as far as I know, invasions are never peaceful, as far as I know. But then again, I could be wrong. I don't know. But the irony of it, also to note, you got to remember, Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize when at the time I think he was like he was the president that used the most drone strikes to kill people. Which is just like, huh. And then the other thing that everyone just washes over, that he used drone strikes to unalive 2 US citizens. I don't care about what they were doing in the region and all the other things that people want to put into they were a part of blah 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 group, and they did. At the end of the day, they were US citizens and they were unalived under that man's word of administration to say, get them. They don't matter anymore as citizens. There was no due process. There was no, hey, come to court and argue your position. It was send it. I'm just saying, we look at what is going on now and we think it's like, yo, this is wild. Like, how is this happening right now under this administration? But like, if you were really paying attention, there's been a number of things that have happened under each administration, whether red or blue. They've been doing some wild stuff for decades now. But it's easier to hate the orange man. Nonetheless, A Bitcoiner apparently won the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, and this was the point that I was saying in regards to the original part earlier of Robinhood and Chase. They were blocking the buys on their platform, which we already know what Robinhood do, and we already know what Coinbase does. This is not new behavior. This is what they do. They're not gonna let the player beat the house, and folks are still gonna stay on the platform. No one's gonna complain. Again, arguably, that's not free market. That's not open market. If it was free open market, like you would let the buys happen, you would let the sells happen, you would not have the matchmaking algo on the back end, you would not block certain activity. But you know, like we have this big talk about like how America is like so pro free market or pro open market, and you can't be when you have all of these controls in place to limit and tether's not the word I'm looking for, and throttle market movement from the Treasury to the Fed to FinCEN to the SEC to even how the DOJ moves. Like Wall Street is rife with it. It's controls put in place so that some folks can get the bag, the Cantillon effect, while the folks further down the value chain, like, nah, dog, the house is not gonna let you do that. And yet, you know, everyone's still like people talking to me about, oh yeah, you know, the new Robinhood thing and da da da. And I'm just like, but they still play against you. Like, and you pay for it. In full disclosure, I have a Robinhood account. I don't do anything with it now, but it's one of those like you pay to get bet against, and then when there's opportunity for you to like follow in free market stuff, they not letting you do it no more. Wall Street Bet was the last time they was gonna let the public get a lick on them, and here we are now, where it's like nobody bats an eye when an exchange, and that's the other part of the downplaying the DeFi side of it to get people on the centralized exchange side of it. You can have the blocks and the stoppage of transactions as far as the buys and sells, and like the average Joe person just getting dumped on or not being able to take advantage of an opportunity in the market because it's not about free market. No, we're not gonna throw that video wild. But like I said, I'll be over here commenting and liking and sometimes resharing more than I actually bookmark. So I seen this and I don't know what the context of it was as far as like what was the question that was asked to him, or like what were they talking about for him to go, oh yeah, you know, Bitcoin and gold will outlast other currency. And this is like, but aren't you pushing for stablecoin to be a currency? Or is it just gonna somehow forever stay an investment tool? I don't know. I don't. It kind of, I don't know, kind of rubbed me away. Where it's just like, huh, what? Why'd you say that? Or, but then again, I probably should and go look and figure out the bigger context of what he said this in. But it just, or it also could be because of how Watch Guru took that particular part of what Paulo said versus the here's the whole sentence. And probably if I saw the whole sentence, or at least what the question was, that comment would make way more sense to be like, oh yeah, you know, Bitcoin and gold, or like no stable coin. I don't know. They just kind of threw me off. Threw me off. Then I see Coin Bureau puts out Coinbase is teaming up with American Express to launch a crypto credit card offering Bitcoin reward. How many of y'all remember the Coinbase card back in the 2016 era? Like, was it 16 or was it 17? I know a number of people who had the Coinbase card, and man, it was a thing to behold. Mind you, what they're doing in regards to the Bitcoin reward, you can do that on Cash App right now, like the roundup. That's literally what that is. The like it would basically be the cashback offering, but in terms of you get it in crypto, which means what they're probably trying to do is get it where the American Express users will then automatically get Coinbase accounts. So it's a way to expand the user base because obviously American Express isn't going to hold the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is going to be held on their Coinbase account. And this is like, all right, the more you spend, the more you get. I don't know. Like I understand it from a business development standpoint, but it's also one of those like, I mean, you can do it on Cash App right now. And there's probably like another card or something that you could do it on too. And arguably it would be easier to move your stuff off of Cash App than it is Coinbase, but you know, is however you want to move. They literally are just doing a cash reward thing in terms of it being Bitcoin versus just regular cash. Which again, another example of we're looking at mass adoption, and this is a part of the all right traditional or TradeFi looking to figure out how do we integrate the newer stuff. And I wonder how long will this last. Like, bet it up. All right, a 2-year run, so a 24-month run in order to say if we have this percentage of adoption of where like, because I imagine on the American Express side, you're gonna have to be like, yes, I want to opt into that program, which then means, oh, well, you have to go and make the Coinbase account, or like the Coinbase account is automatic, and like, oh, just go over and put this code in, and then like boom, your stuff will automatically your profile will be set up. But more importantly, because here actually now okay, all right, here's what's going on in my brain right now. We're literally months in on hearing that folks are becoming more dependent on their credit cards for day-to-day things. And with that, reports are also coming out that more delinquencies beyond the 30-day window are showing up in credit cards. So my question is kind of like, what was the thought process in this meeting of American Express people and Coinbase's people to be like, okay, listen, we see that more people are, because it's a weird thing, and I don't know what these exact numbers are, right? If more people are becoming delinquent, okay, if you have an increasing usage in credit card because of things going on the job market side, and then things are quote more expensive. Okay. And so in my mind, something doesn't make sense for a long run play. Because if more people are becoming delinquent in repayment and carrying over balances, right? then they're at some point they're going to spend less, which means they're not going to get the Bitcoin. So like, is this one of those like it's only being offered to certain customers? I don't, yeah, because that's the question. Like, is it being offered to certain customers who have a certain credit limit? Or is it going to everyone? Or is it only the people who like haven't had a delinquency in like six 6 months or 12 months? Like you can have been delinquent within 12 months. Because on the Coinbase side of it, and I don't know what the user base count is for American Express, but I know Coinbase is like, I think around 1 million, 2 million users at this point. I don't know what counts as the everyday user, but they will definitely argue that they have at least 2 million profiles or account holders, right? So it's just like, how does this make sense if we're going into an economic downturn to partner with a business that is based on people spending? If if the reports and the numbers are coming out, hey, folks aren't spending, they're actually, well, folks are spending but they're becoming delinquent, so eventually they're going to get cut off because they're going to miss too many payments. Or is it like, if we give, and then it doesn't even tell you what the reward amount is it 1%, is it 0.5%, you know what I'm saying, is it 0.01% of whatever your purchase was? Like, I don't know. This is a, it's a lot of more questions in my mind on how did this make sense as a business deal between these two um companies. But we'll see if this goes past 26 into 27, which I honestly, I don't think the economy is going to go up until probably like after 28. But you know, we'll see what happens. Um, I think the this is not price talk or financial advice, because I'm not a CPA, a lawyer, or financial advisor. It's just one of those, like, I've been around the space long enough and I've seen partnership deals like this before, and usually they make the big announcement thing, the numbers don't do what the numbers do, and again, we're in an economic downturn. So somebody had to project that there was going to be um a acquisition, what is it, a customer acquisition or a user, a crossover thing. I can't remember the phrase right now, but like, I can't see the, if they make like double digit numbers, and I mean double digit like above 15, of like, okay, we have consistent users, I guess it might make sense as like, okay, this program could work past 2 years, but I don't see it. Like, they could probably have like the initial spike of like 20% crossover, right? Of the like regular American Express users who did not have anything crypto and now they want to get their way into it. But it's just like, what happens after the 30 days, the 90 days? And again, they're also dealing with, but I don't know. I'm running down a rabbit hole that I don't need to run down, y'all. I'm running down a rabbit hole that I don't need to run down. Um, I don't know if I have high hopes for this deal because of how I think I understand American Express, or at least for how it's advertised, and what I've seen Coinbase do over the years. And again, like, American Express users are generally considered like the higher end money wise folks. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But anywho, moving on to the next thing. Moving on to the next thing. Um so what was it that got me about this? ETF issuer Bitwise just said they were helping a country buy Bitcoin, and it will soon be announced who. Sovereign wealth funds are quietly getting prepared. So I'm not even gonna play this for you because like the way he explained it was kind of like weird. It was like, yeah, we're like doing something, but you know, we're positioning ourselves. And yeah, again, I still look at it and go, this wasn't supposed to be about sovereign wealth funds. This wasn't supposed to be about a Michael Saylor. This wasn't supposed to be about things like a Coinbase. This was supposed to be about the everyday average Joe, no matter where they were in the world. But then again, I could just be on my whole fucking, you know, idealistic high horse. And just again, as I've said, in this new age, it means shit. Like the majority of the folks in this new age and their mindset is not like the back in the day folks like me. But again, you can't tell people how to Bitcoin, right? All right. So then you have it that just in 1.7 trillion Citibank to launch crypto custody service in 2026. Imagine that. What do they say? At first they shame you, and then they ridicule you, and then eventually they join you. And so Citibank about to do that, which is crazy because this is like, okay, but I have a Coinbase account, I have a Kraken account, I have an OKX account, I have whatever other account. Yeah, but like we're a trusted name. We've been doing this for like only 4 years. You should use us over the company that's been in the space for like 8, 10 years. What? And watch. That's what's gonna happen. Folks are going to cross over. And I'm still waiting to see when one of the TradeFi folks, like the big name TradeFi folks, buys in an American exchange. I'm still waiting for that. I feel like that is going to happen. All right, last thing. According to Reuters, Kenya's parliament has passed the Virtual Asset Service Providers Bill to establish a regulatory framework for digital asset sector, aiming to attract investments and stabilize trading practices. The bill authorizes the central bank to license stablecoins and other virtual assets, while the Capital Markets Authority will oversee the licensing of crypto exchanges and trading platforms. Mind you, there are already trading platforms in Kenya. There are already trading platforms in Kenya. This is just, hey, we need to put up the walled garden fences, gates, because there's too much money, there's too much capital moving around in a way where we cannot adequately get our cut as the government. That's all this literally means. We are trying to be more like the Westerners in terms of capital control. That's the short of that one. Nothing really hard to think about or understand there. Now, granted, some folks are going to be like, oh, well, but that means they'll have better financial instruments and better financial institutions and it'll be more updated and da 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 da. Listen, there are things that you can do on the financial side in African countries that you can't do here in the States. Like, I've said the story a number of times about how when I was in South Africa and I was with my guy out there, um, and he ended up losing his wallet. Well, he didn't lose it. Somebody robbed him like the first day he got there. And like we were still doing our thing as far as the crypto conference that was happening, and we're supposed to go to Lesotho, but whatever on that part. Nonetheless, like he was still able to get money from other folks where it's like, hey, I need blah blah blah. And it's not the same thing as like a wire transfer. It's not the same thing as that. It worked different out there. There are things that they can do in the African countries and their system that we can't do out here. We develop different. Nonetheless, arguably, this is a part of the maturity. They're making steps forward. It's going to be interesting to see how this adoption happens. and I'm gonna have to reach out to my guy CJ. And I know like somebody else is actually heading out there soon enough, and get the skinny on what does this look like on the ground. Is this actually going to be helpful to the people? Always my question. But nonetheless, that's all I got. I'm gonna cut it there, and oh snap. Okay, I just realized what I did. I just realized what I did. I just realized what I did. My bad, y'all. I wasn't even looking at the thing like that. Let me do this real quick. Recap. So this is a story about Maria Corona Machado, who is the Bitcoiner who got the Nobel Peace Prize. As I've read some of the stuff that you heard me go through, I'm definitely realizing like not all Bitcoiners are the same. Just it is what it is. Robinhood, shout outs to Tej. Robinhood and Coinbase doing what they do. They don't believe in open or free markets. House always wins. This next joint was Paulo Arduino. He said Bitcoin and gold will outlast cryptocurrencies. Again, I wonder what the whole sentence was, or like what the question was, because it's like, aren't you a stablecoin guy? Like, what? American Express and Coinbase. You literally heard how I ran down the rabbit hole, and I didn't have an answer for what this bosom buddy situation is, because I'm kind of lost on how it's going to work, considering we're in an economic downturn and people are definitely more than 30, 60, and 90 days delinquent in using credit cards. Not sure how this made sense. The other thing here about the whole sovereign wealth and the ETF, as far as like Bitwise and what they're doing, again, as I've been told, this is about the space maturing and getting mass adoption. Okay. Again, Citibank, they about to do the custody thing, which is still wild to me, because you already have how many crypto exchanges out here that do that. And I get why it probably doesn't go the other way because of the gate guarding from TradeFi, but it's easy to see how it's now, well, all right, well, we'll also offer the service of crypto custody. So I'm still waiting for when one of these exchanges get bought out by a traditional TradeFi company. And then this last thing here again about passing this virtual asset service provider bill thing, which arguably is more about controlling the capital within the country and like what's probably moving through the country, because believe it or not, you'd be surprised how mobile Africans are. But you wouldn't know it unless you were like there, or at least talking to people who are from those regions. But yeah, that's all I got. My bad. I really just noticed that what I did. Caught up rambling, the brain be scratching how scratching. My takeaway for today, and this is what I'm going to end up writing about on LinkedIn, is that not all Bitcoiners are the same. Yeah, not all Bitcoiners are the same. And Maria Machado is a perfect example of how your ideals can be very diametrically opposed to the early day ideals of Bitcoin. And she is just another example, a Latin American version example of a Cynthia Loomis to a degree. Cynthia Loomis is not asking other countries to come in and do things in her home country, but apparently Machado is. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. If you are interested, though, check me out on LinkedIn. I write a couple of things here and there. At this point, I'm just on the like once a week thing. Twitter, it is what it is. If y'all see something interesting, tag me in it, and maybe I might share it. What else? That's all I got. But as I say, and as I've been, bringing it up for the last how many months now, years at this point, I think. The best that I can wish you from one human to the next is that you are in a safe place, in a safe space, and in good company. And with that, I say it is a Monday, and hopefully you had a good weekend and you recharged your batteries and you had some good memorable moments and laugh and food with good company, family and friends, or if you are the good company, then hey, enjoy that peace, right? And that's all I got for y'all until the next one. I am Trek with 2Ks. This is Trek with 2Ks Live, brought to you here on the Gentleman of Crypto Network. As they say, like, subscribe, and share, and do all that other stuff. And in case you didn't know, I do have my own channel called Trek with 2Ks. If you could go over and give a like, I'd appreciate. But other than that, y'all, one. Do, 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 do. I'm Trek with 2Ks.